hate that you can't see, cause you can find it, homes, is that you don't want to. You cope by putting the blinders on. I've been trying to find some kind of way, but I've kind of known that y'all.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw from May the 30th, 2022. A painfully mediocre show where nothing in it was particularly terrible, but nothing in it was particularly good, and nothing really happened. So it was a holiday episode of Monday Night Raw. Now they did false advertise Lacey Evans for this show. They said she was going to make her return, in-ring return for this show, and it didn't happen. So I guess everybody must have forgot. I didn't forget. But people must have forgot. And the reason I remembered that is because they dropped her theme song earlier. And we're going to talk about theme songs a little bit too. And apparently she's singing her own theme song. Some people have said she's singing her own theme song. It sounds like her, but some folks have said it is somebody else too. I'm not sure how that works, but they dropped her theme song on Memorial Day. It's on the official YouTube account for WWE themes. And I thought it was in preparation for her in-ring return. That's what made me remember that she was even supposed to be there tonight. Especially since it's a Memorial Day episode and they've been really turning her into Girl Sergeant Slaughter. And I was like, okay, well, but she didn't show up. So I guess she had something else to do, which is, hey, it works for me, dog. I ain't pressed, but, it's very interesting. I actually like the song. It's very inspirational. Listen to that song and the dirt she's telling me that she's going to be moved to Raw and turned heel. I looked at that. I listened to that song, listened to the lyrics to that song. I don't think so, dog. I don't think she's going to be turning heel at all. But we'll see. It hasn't happened yet. I guess if you keep saying it, it eventually will come true. But it ain't happened yet. They also dropped Gunther's theme on the WWE YouTube account and it's pretty cool. I love Gunther's theme. It's dope. I loved the original Imperium theme more, but this new theme is also pretty good. So let's finally get into the damn show. So Becky Lynch says she didn't feel up to welcome everybody to Raw because she didn't feel like putting up a brave face without her title. Says many people are praying for her downfall. Of course, they said no. She says she runs on spite and coffee and she's feeling really fueled up. And the crowd was all completely behind her at this point. They're chanting Becky, Becky. Says that some people collect stamps, other people collect baseball cards. She collects enemies. Says that the odds are stacked against her, but she defies all the odds anyway. Yeah, she went through the story of the match, which is that she gave Asuka the greatest gift that she could, her title, because she knew she could beat Asuka and knew that, if Asuka was a good wrestler, a good champion, Asuka would still be the champion when she came back, and then she would beat Asuka and reclaim what she never lost, but Asuka ended up losing the title. Then she says that now she realized that she created a selfish, entitled monster. Asuka came out there, rambled for a second, then Bianca Belair came out. And then said that she got some stuff to say to Asuka. She used the word say, but she ain't mean say. Because Asuka kicked her in the face last week. Then say she gonna give Becky, quote, a piece of her mind at Hell in a Cell. It was a nice little euphemisms that she used there for whooping their ass. This led to a brawl, which, our first brawl of the night. One of many brawls for the evening. The first match, Asuka versus Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair wins the match. Some sloppiness in this match, but otherwise very solid. WWE continues to do weird stuff in their booking. I don't see why Bianca Belair needed to wrestle Asuka on this show. I don't see why Asuka needed to take a clean loss right before a title match on pay-per-view. I will say it, and I'll keep saying WWE's booking style makes no damn sense. It's beating people right before it's either 50-50 booking it or beating people right before you're about to sell them losing. Like, shouldn't we pay to see one of these people get beat? But you're like, just do it on Raw. It's like, okay, well, now you're surprised that, everything is all depressed in terms of ratings and storyline. Like, everybody understands how this stuff works. Like, wins and losses don't matter that much. But that doesn't mean that you can just pin people willy-nilly on random Mondays. And like, Asuka hasn't been back that long, and this is already her second pinfall loss. Like, this is weird. This is a weird situation to put her in while she's going into a title match. So it was stupid. You make her look like she's not a threat. So why would I care about this match? And then you had Becky lose 2 weeks ago. So the only person coming in here with any momentum is Bianca Belair, which I guess is the only person they care about. So who knows? They may pin her on SmackDown or something like that, because that's the kind of shit that they do. But it was okay. The match itself was fine. I think they had a better match. The match that was a disqualification several weeks ago. I think that was probably a better showcase for Asuka and Bianca Belair. I actually would have preferred for this to have been the match at Hell in a Cell, because I hate triple threat matches, but it is what it is at this point. The Mysterios and Ezekiel defeat Kevin Owens and Alpha Academy. Who cares, really? Ezekiel's theme is super damn just awful, generic. The fans like this match. I don't know why. The fans this was in Iowa, and these fans were they were still brainwashed. Let's put it like that. This Iowa crowd still liked Becky Lynch. They continued to chant for her and cheer for her. Even as she was supposed to be getting booed, she was getting cheered. Which, of course, other crowds are kind of smartening up and booing Becky. But not these guys. Not in Iowa. They're like, Becky, we love you, Becky. No, we want you to be champion, Becky. But, oh, yeah, we also cheer Bianca Belair, too. It's like, oh, God. Oh, we also cheering Asuka, too. Like, oh, God. Damn. This shit whack. But the Mysterios and Ezekiel defeat Kevin Owens and the Alpha Academy. I don't know why the Alpha Academy is involved with this. This Ezekiel thing is very interesting. They've been doing these vignettes on Twitter of him telling his life story about how he was so interested in wrestling and his brother taking him to wrestling matches and all this kind of stuff. And they really landed on quite thick. And it's pretty cool. It's interesting, but I'm looking at this thing like I don't understand what the end game is. It's like they're just saying, look, people like this stuff, people are enjoying it. Let's just go with it, and we'll figure out how to undo it later. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be an actual end game planned for this at all. So, whatever. So, Cody and Seth Rollins had a barn burner of a segment. I love this segment. We didn't get a countdown to Cody, which is very depressing. Inside, we got a countdown to the Usos and Nakariddle, which was, it is what it was. But Cody says that he always was a fan of Seth Rollins, saw potential in Seth Rollins, and that his father, one of Seth Rollins' mentors, saw that Seth had the special ingredients, and that wrestling him at WrestleMania, he knew that Seth Rollins could live up to the hype. So he was nervous to face him. He says, imagine being me. You get the call. You're going to get your second chance. I have to admit it, guys. I was nervous. And the crowd was like, no, you, Cody, you were nervous. He's like, yeah, I was nervous. I mean, Seth Rollins is so good. He's such a great performer. He has such amazing talents. And it was hilarious. Then he says that envy is counting someone else's blessings while ignoring your own, and jealousy is a bitch or something like that. And he has a bunch of other things that he wanted to throw out at us before Seth Rollins interrupted. Well, his theme song interrupted. Then we saw Seth Rollins, he was wearing a waist belt, like a woman in the 1980s, like a belt that went around his waist. He looked like he was dressed in women's clothes. He looked like he was wearing women's clothes this week. And you know what? I'm not going to say no more about it. But he looked like he was wearing women's clothes this week. Burn some sage. We need to burn some sage. We need some incense. Because we got... What are they doing to Seth? Why are they making him wear a waist belt? Anyway. Seth Rollins says that he's in the crowd, by the way. He's like hanging around the steps. He says that you want to know what my problem is? I don't like you and I want you to leave. It was so amazingly simple. Then he says that the longer you stay here, the more pandering, the more Cody chants. I can't stand it. And then he gave us the real reason why he doesn't like Cody. He says, every day since you left, you and your friends tried to tear down what I was building. You don't get to take a sledgehammer to a throne in my kingdom. And Cody kind of like, well played, Seth. Well played. I understand you saw that and you were very upset. So they got a little AEW reference in there. I liked it. I liked the placement of it. It served the story. It had a purpose. It wasn't just, AEW for AEW's sake. It was, this is Cody's story. He broke the throne. He wanted to be a revolutionary. He wanted to be the guy that took WWE down, And this was this around the time that Seth Rollins was calling himself the Kingslayer after he beat Triple H? Because he beat Triple H in 2018? Or was it 2019? And, that's when he was doing the Kingslayer thing. So maybe my timeline is mixed. I know it wasn't in 2020 because that was the pandemic year. So it was before that, maybe a year or two before that he was doing the Kingslayer thing. And then I think it was probably the second AEW pay-per-view where Cody did the throne breaking, or was it the first one? I think it was the first one, right? Where he broke the throne with the sledgehammer. So we get it. We see the connection now. You got Seth Rollins calling himself the Kingslayer, and you have Seth Rollins, being the throne breaker. And we're in this situation where they kind of was both proxy feuding with the chair rather than actually with Triple H. Well, Seth Rollins actually got to wrestle Triple H. Well, Cody wrestled him too, just 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or something like that. So it was a really good promo. And that was the best promo these two guys have had in a long time. So Cody says, so Seth, I got a question for you, buddy. What's stopping me? And Cody's, Seth is like, pardon? And he's like, 3 little ropes, a barricade, waves of people, popcorn and Pepsi. You think that's going to stop me? And then Seth's like, And then Cody gets out of the ring, hops the barricade, and goes to chase Seth into the crowd. And we get the second brawl of the evening. The Cody Seth Rollins brawl. This is so lazy. It's so lazy. Just have them brawl in the aisleway. Crowd was not feeling it at first, and then they got separated, and then they scratched and clawed back to each other. The crowd started chanting, "Let them fight, let them fight," and then they broke apart, and then they got attacked each other again. At this point in time, I'm not really all that bought into the brawl. The promo is over, and they just, punching each other for no reason at this point. I saw Curtis Axel, I saw Daivari, I saw Shane Helms, I saw Petey Williams, all out there to separate these guys in a fight. And I was like, okay. Petey Williams, I'm pretty sure this is not his Raw debut. I'm pretty sure he was like some extra on Raw before. But they kind of fought until this thing was over. So I love this segment. I thought it was great. Fantastic segment between Cody and Seth Rollins. They carrying the show. They're doing a good job of really putting emphasis on these guys. These guys are the main event of Hell in a Cell. And I love that for them. I love it for them. And it says a lot that WWE feels strongly enough about Cody and about Seth and the program that they've built that they can say, we're putting these two guys on top. No Roman. No Roman. And they still sold out the building. That's something. That's different, Maybe it's Chicago. Maybe it was in, Minneapolis or somewhere else. It probably wouldn't have sold out. But selling out the building with no Roman, it's not bad, But it's also the Hell in a Cell gimmick, so who knows? All right, next segment, Alexa Bliss versus Dewdrop. They showed some clips of Alexa Bliss winning the Money in the Bank. What was it, 4 years ago? And then cashing in the Money in the Bank and winning. This is the first Money in the Bank sort of build that they've had since they announced Money in the Bank ticket sales and all that kind of stuff. I thought they were real suspicious. Also found it very suspicious. Last week, Corey Graves criticized Alexa Bliss and said that she was in cruise control. He criticized her again this week by saying that she looked odd and he missed the old version of Alexa Bliss when she was ruthless and willing to do whatever it takes. And this new version of Alexa Bliss, he's not so sure that she's going to make it. And Alexa Bliss did kind of attack him on Twitter. And I'm guessing that, obviously this is scripted. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have addressed it. So maybe this is going to be her new gimmick going forward, that she's just going to be a wrestling wrestler. She's going to go out there and have matches and get criticized by commentary. And then eventually she's going to go after Corey Graves. And I guess that's going to bring in Carmella, if Carmella can wrestle. So maybe that's what her actual program is going to be. It's going to be Alexa Bliss and Carmella. That doesn't necessarily sound tantalizing, but it's something. So, Alexa Bliss defeats Doudrop. Made no sense to do that, but at least they did it in a way that was in some way made sense. Doudrop was physically dominant, beating Alexa Bliss's ass, and then she goes for the Vader Bomb. She misses the Vader Bomb, and that opens the door for the Twisted Bliss, and Alexa Bliss wins. Now, them taking away Alexa Bliss's personality, kind of odd, like not letting her cut promos or say or do anything. Some people seem to have been giving her a hard time by this new theme song. I mean, it does suck. It sucks ass. It sucks whole ass. But she likes it, and she's one of her rich rock friends made it, so I'm guessing she's very fond of it. It's like, it sucks. As a wrestling theme song, it sucks. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it sucks. At that point, she likes it, so it is. And people responded to it this time. So I guess they're getting used to it, but that theme song blows ass. It blows chunks. Doudrop and Nikki had a little bit of a chat in the ring. It seemed like they're still telling their story, or at least they're trying to, of them not taking it seriously. But Doudrop losing to somebody so much smaller than her is bizarre. And then they did it again later in the main event, again, if you won't even call it the main event. All right, so Miz TV, we get the Miz and the Street Profits. This did not need to exist because nobody had anything to talk about. The Street Profits, Montez Ford is looking jacked, by the way. Like, his body has changed a lot over the last month or so. Like, he's getting kind of big, and it was actually noticeable by commentary this week that he's actually getting swole out here in these streets. The guy's eating his protein. I'm telling you, they're getting him ready for a singles push. Anyway, the Street Profits come out there and make fun of Miz. They were just clowning him, basically. It really wasn't. It wasn't going anywhere. It was more Hell in a Cell hype. So it was. They did the. It doesn't matter what you think, and clown the Miz for still falling for that, even though he's been here for so long. And it was a funny little segment, but we didn't need it. It didn't serve a purpose. And then we made it even worse by the 24/7 crew coming in. And then they actually started having like mini matches in the 24/7 thing. You had like this Tamina, Dana Brooke back and forth where, Apollo Crews is in there kicking people in the head. I'm like, what is going on? Ultimately, Tamina wins the 24/7 title with a Samoan drop on Dana Brooke. All right, fine. She then kissed Tozawa because she loves him. Oh. And then Tozawa pins Tamina with a backslide because he loves the 24/7 title. Oh. And she divorced him, so you gotta be following these deep layered storylines. How people stab each other in the back for this little green title. Useless green title. So now Akira Tozawa is the 24/7 champion. I can't believe we're still doing this. The Street Profits are still in the ring. This is the first time I've seen Apollo Crews on Raw in forever. And there we go. I mean, I think people should start walking out. Maybe Apollo Crews needs to walk out. Maybe him and Commander Aziz need to go to Johnny Ace and say, "What are you doing with me? I was the Intercontinental Champion. I was showing him the steel. Now look at me." And put his lions on the table. His giant orb thing. I don't know what the fuck that thing is. Put it on the desk and walk out. His all of his gimmicks. Just put it on the table and walk out. You do not care about my Nigerian heritage. And walk out. That's the thing to do, man. You upset, walk fuck out. You got to do a job. Not getting paid? Walk out. Get the fuck out of here, man. All right, Austin Theory, because I refuse to just call a guy Theory, a stupid name. He's out here because we got a new match. Mustafa Ali, or Mustafa, I don't know how they're pronouncing that name, versus Ciampa. And if Ali wins, he gets a title shot. If Ciampa wins, so Ciampa's if he wins, he wins nothing. And since we know Ciampa's not going to win, it doesn't matter. This whole thing was so, it pissed me off so much because it doesn't make any sense. For starters, there's no stakes for Ciampa. He gets nothing if he wins. Therefore, we're not even going to even say that he could win. You know, it was a pretty good match between the two of them. You know, it was just a taste. It was basically a sampler. Theory was on commentary. He says that Mustafa Ali is not championship material and didn't deserve a title match. Ali does a tope suicida through the ropes and nearly killed them both. Nearly lawn darted himself into the floor. And I was like, is this Monday Night Raw or Wednesday Night Dynamite? Because that was terrible. Austin Theory gets Ciampa disqualified. Ciampa is not upset by this. Didn't get in Theory's face about this. Didn't do anything to Theory at all. Theory then slammed Ali into the ring post and said that a win's a win, even though, you know, a DQ is a coward's way out. And said that future title match, well, it's right now. And we go to commercial, we come back. There's a brief CM Punk chant. I know that really cooked the giblets of some people in the crowd. We haven't had a CM Punk chant in a long time. So that really cooked the goose of some people who were watching. They're like, oh my God, it's a CM Punk chant. It's like, yeah, it's Des Moines, Iowa. They're probably 15 years behind. They probably still think Batista's coming back or something. You know, in any event. Austin Theory versus Mustafa Ali was essentially Austin Theory dominating and kicking his ass. Then Mustafa Ali hits a big springboard tornado DDT. You know, great visual. This didn't lead to much as Theory counters the attempt at the 450 splash. He ends up winning with the that overly complicated finish that he has, where he jams his knee into your face. It's stupid. Theory wins, and he takes his selfie, and everything is good. Adam Pearce then comes down to ringside as Theory is very happy with himself and says that he should check his text messages because Mr. McMahon, while proud of his victory and liked his mind games, said that he would like to see him defeat Mustafa Ali in a straight-up fair match. And therefore, Mustafa Ali is going to get a rematch at Hell in a Cell. And he said, okie dokie. And Theory was pretty upset about that, but it was okay. Later in the show, Mustafa Ali is talked to by interview guy. And Mustafa Ali says that the pain he feels right now, he's going to make sure that it's all worth it. And that he can take all of these lumps. He can get beat up, but he'll never stay down. That he can do whatever he wants. Theory can attack him from behind as many times as he wants. He will never stay down. Then Theory did attack him from behind. And then took the selfie. And as he was walking off, he says, new champ, my ass. And that's what I was like. I like Austin Theory. I really do. Like I was already kind of there on him. But I was like, he got a decent look. Nice little size to him. He's a young guy, good personality. He plays the cocky high school quarterback type of heel very well. The prick, you know, you could definitely see him as a villain in one, like, you know, American Pie or something like that, Porky's or some shit, you know. He could be sort of that real steep asshole frat boy gimmick, you know. You could see that guy, you know. So it's working. I wish they would, you know, mature the character a little bit. Maybe not with that silly theme song, the A-Town Down. I'm like, I don't know about that. But they're kind of going with young boy energy with this one, the immaturity and all that kind of stuff. So I like it. I like Austin Theory. He's got the attitude. He's got the personality. He's got the in-ring work. He's really good right now. So before we go too much further, there was an interview on Mustafa Ali, and he talked about why he decided to come back. And he says, quote, "I believe private conversations are meant to be private. The reason it went public is because those private conversations went nowhere. Anyone that truly knows me, I know there's a portion of the audience that was like, how unprofessional. But anyone that has ever worked with me, dealt with me as a human, knows how much I love this place, how much I love sports entertainment, how much I love wrestling. This is the only thing I wanted to do. For me to even get to that point was an issue. Everyone is judging the action. They're not judging the intention behind the action. Imagine how much it took for me to try and leave. That's the conversation and the hot topic. There are situations that I can't publicly discuss, but that's what I wanted to say about the issue. The only reason it got to this point, because there was no other option. It's incredible the things you'll do when your back is against the wall and you're fighting for survival. I wouldn't have done something unless I believe in it. I still stand by the choice I made. I did what I had to do. For those that don't know, I went on a little sabbatical. Always flip it. Try to make it a positive thing. It wasn't intentional, but one huge positive was my youngest daughter was born in November, and I got to be home for the full process. My other 2 kids, I was there, but not there every day because I was doing tours. It wasn't the intention, but I was there for the whole thing." And then he says that he was asked if there was any type of aha moment for him that made him come back or whatever. He says, "There wasn't an aha moment. The reality of it is I realized that my problem was that I care too much. I'm this super passionate guy. I was giving one of the commentators details about what the story was, and I was trying to go for it. It was Kevin Patrick, and he was asked Corey Graves about me, and Corey said, the one thing about Ali is that he sees it all. So if he's telling you something, he's thought about it. The aha moment was, you have to control your passion. I'm a passionate guy when it comes to this. It's not just about me. I'm the guy that goes, we can make this look even bigger if we shot it this way. And then he looks great. I'm the mad scientist sometimes. The majority of the guys I get to perform with are like, what are you doing? That's the trust level I have with performers and producers. When you have this super passionate guy that feels like he's running into wall after wall, the sound reality is, I just control my passion now. I'm doing the job to the best of my ability and then some, but just caring too much about how it should be, at least in my mind." So there it is. He has the same problem that a lot of wrestlers have. They give too much of a fuck. And to be quite honest, that is a major issue. That's Sasha Banks' problem too, is she simply cares too much. That's part of having a huge ego, is that you not only care about how you look, but how everybody else looks and how everything is. You're so meticulous. And it's like there can only be really room for one chef in the kitchen, Like the sous chef is there to help. Everybody can help, but, there's only one chef in the kitchen, And sometimes people run into that wall. Now, I get it. I get it. Obviously, there's going to be some things he's not going to discuss, but we understand why he came back. He learned that, he has to control himself. He has to learn how to take things in stride. And that's why I think he's going to win the United States title. Mainly because I don't think it's really benefiting Theory right now. I don't think Theory really needs it anymore. I'm hearing whispers that Theory is about to have a run in the summer with John Cena. I'm like, if that happens, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying if that does happen, that's bigger than the United States title. If we're about to do Summer of Cena 2, and that this run is going to be him working with Austin Theory, oh hell yeah. That's a great move. That's a great deal right there for Theory. He can go ahead and drop this United States title to Mustafa Ali if Mustafa Ali wants it. He wants the opportunity, go ahead. But it would explain why they've been doing so much with Austin Theory. They got him in there with Vince McMahon. They got him in there with Steve Austin. They got him in there with Pat McAfee. Now they're kind of dangling the John Cena carrot over his head. It's like, this kid's about to get the rocket, He's about to get the push. I'm talking big push. Is he going to beat Roman? Probably not. I think people need to, chill out on that tip. We can say people are going to get big pushes without saying, oh, he's going to be the one that's going to beat Roman. It's like, no, he's not. Braun Breaker's going to get a huge push when he comes on. He ain't going to be the guy that's going to beat Roman. All right. Cody is going to beat Roman. Or Drew McIntyre is going to beat Roman. Those are the only two guys because they're trusted names. And, Roman's going to drop the belt to somebody who's already got some cachet to them. He's not going to drop the belt on a project who might not make it, who might flame out in 6 months or whatever. It's going to be somebody who's got some real weight behind their name. And Cody and Drew McIntyre are two guys who kind of both have that. But I'm thinking it's looking more like Cody nowadays. But it is what it is. In any event, Mustafa Ali winning the United States title. It is actually a pretty good setup, considering they've been beating Ali a lot in unfair situations. He hasn't been getting fair matches. He's been losing a lot. So this is where, earlier I was talking about you can't just pin people 100 times. But in this situation, you kind of have to pin Ali because you're showing them that he's getting the matches that he claimed that he wanted, but he's not getting them in the way that he wants them. They're not fair. They're not straight up. He wanted to fight Ciampa, but you got the match with Ciampa. Title shot is on the line, but Austin Theory's floating around the ring and getting in the way and getting disqualified and everything. So I'm guessing he's going to get this fair match in his hometown of Chicago. The hometown makes me think it probably won't happen, but we'll see. I'm actually not willing to bet money on it, of course, but it's looking pretty close like he will get that title. And that ought to be very interesting. All right. So we're getting to the home stretch here. Riddle cuts a promo. They're now starting to start with these Riddle walking down the hall promos. And he talked about the Usos messing with the wrong dude. And then he kicks it over to Nakamura, who says that they're like two Ronin whose masters are gone and now they're out for revenge and they're going to bleed the bloodline dry. And I was like, two masterless Ronin. I don't mind that. But why? Well, Boogs was the master of Nakamura? That's weird. But I understand what he was getting. I understand what he was getting to. Whoever wrote that doesn't really understand samurai culture. Samurai culture is a little bit different, I wouldn't necessarily say Rick Boogs was the brains of that outfit or the master of that. Like Randy Orton clearly was the boss of the RK Bro situation, but I wouldn't say too much about Rick Boogs being that guy. All right. In any event, what should have been the main event of the show, but I figured it wasn't going to be the main event when I saw the finish. Fairly decent match. Fun, actually. Shinsuke Nakamura and Riddle defeat the Usos by disqualification. Jimmy Uso ended up stabbing Riddle with the scooter, and this led to yet another brawl in which Jimmy Uso gets knocked out, and Jey Uso takes an RKO from the top rope, what they call the Super RKO, post-match, and the Usos are dragged away. So since they won the Championship Contenders match, Nakamura and Riddle are probably going to get a tag team title shot. I don't see why we need to do this. To me, it just seems very weird, man. I mean, I get it that, Roman's not around, but it seems so strange that we have prime opportunities for Riddle and Nakamura to want to get revenge. And instead of doing a triple threat match in which, Roman could lose the titles without losing, and therefore Riddle and Nakamura might, hey, you want to work together. It's an odd thing to do, as far as baby faces working together. But, it's not believable that Nakamura would beat Roman. It's not believable for Riddle to beat Roman, even though I think it would be a fun match for either one of them to wrestle him one-on-one. Instead, you would do a situation where they try to go for Roman's titles and try to beat each other. And, it's not a thing where they're working together as much as they're doing whatever it takes to get Roman out of the match so that one can pin the other one and win the title and hurt Roman where he really needs to be hurt, which is him losing his titles. That would have been, I think, a better story to tell rather than these two guys wrestling the Usos, considering why not form another fucking tag team? Maybe the Usos need to go into the office and put their belts on the table and say, God damn it, Johnny Oos, what are you doing, Oos? Why ain't no tag teams in our tag team division, Oos? What? We done beat the Viking Raiders, Oos. We done beat the Alpha Academy. We done beat the Street Profits. We done beat everybody. Where tag teams at, Oos? And then put their belts on his desk and piece the fuck on out. Why not? The tag team division is in absolute shambles to the point where we're putting Nakamura and Riddle, two, I was about to call them B+ players, but that's a little too stiff. Maybe C+ players. And I like Nakamura and I like Riddle, but they're not believable as top guys right now. And maybe that's why they're in this tag team. But goddamn, they just left tag teams. Like they go from one tag team to another. And look, I get the storyline reason for this. The Usos hurt both of their partners, so they're going to form together for revenge purposes. I actually like it, but as a story, I like it. As a match, I don't know. And plus, and then they just gave the match away. Again, another Raw staple, another WWE staple. We got a pay-per-view match. We're just going to give it away on TV and then give it to you again for pay-per-view. Maybe with a different result, maybe. It's just, it makes everything so tiring because you see the same shit over and over again. Same people doing the same shit over and over again. But whatever. All right. The next thing, Liv Morgan versus Ria Ripley in the match that, maybe you want to go to bed. So for starters, Liv Morgan stood in the ring for 20 minutes as WWE did their introduction for Liv Morgan. And then they promptly went to commercial. Then after they came back from commercial, they went to Mustafa Ali's promo. And then they went back to commercial, I'm guessing. Then they went to the Memorial Day video package. And then they came back and went to Ria Ripley's entrance. And then from there, they went to commercial again. And when they came back, Liv Morgan had been in the ring for 20 minutes. Doing nothing. She had been standing in the ring. Doing nothing for 20 minutes. I cannot think, not only is it completely inefficient production, but it makes the talent look stupid. And it makes the company look amateurish. For starters, why didn't you do the memorial package at the opening of the show like you always do? You've been doing this for 50 fucking years. And at least for every Memorial Day episode, every Martin Luther King Day episode, all that kind of stuff, you do the shit at the beginning of the show. Why all of a sudden they decide they want to do it in the middle of the fucking show? Why? What the fuck? Why do we need Corey Graves to tell us that freedom ain't free and give us this whole spiel about how people have to sacrifice themselves? It's like, okay, great, but why is it from Corey Graves? Why is it from Corey Graves? For starters, he's the heel commentator. That's the first problem. Second, you've got like 5 fucking veterans on the roster. Now, this is a spot for Montez Ford, for Bobby Lashley, for Lacey Evans, for somebody who actually did that stuff. Let them kick to the video package. And then they should have done it at the beginning of the fucking show. That's what it should have been. If you needed to do something with Lacey Evans, you should have did it right then and there. Where she pitched to the video package at the opening of the show, because that's her gimmick now, is being in the military. You could have put Montez Ford and Lashley, just had all 3 of them there, and they did like a back and forth thing, like a commercial, and they pitched to the Memorial Day thing instead of having a fucking heel commentator do it. It makes no sense. And then you also have this poor girl standing in the fucking middle of the ring. In full gear, just standing there. What's she doing, waving? Like, I've been to Raw, and when they do this type of shit, usually they're just standing in the dark. Like, that shit is so embarrassing. Like, you're just standing there doing nothing. And and then they come back and they do Rhea Ripley's entrance. They changed her fucking theme song. And I'm like, so not only is she not the Nightmare anymore, she's now the Eradicator. If you can't see Vince McMahon's fingerprints all over that, the Eradicator. Google it. And of course, if you watch the Pat McAfee thing, you know Vince likes to use crazy words from the dictionary where people are like, "What the hell does that mean? Stupendous. What does that mean?" And so when she starts, now she's the Eradicator. The Eradicator. It's like, oh God. You know, now she's like the Terminator or something like that, where everything is all sharp looks, and everything is getting darker and darker with Rhea Ripley. Her hair is getting darker, and the makeup is getting darker, and everything is dark now. There's no lightness at all about Rhea Ripley. It's all dark and empty. And now they've changed her theme song, which everybody had, you know, come to really like. And I get it. It's a different version of the character, but her theme song didn't have shit to do with the name Nightmare. Okay, we could have kept her theme song the same. Again, this is how you make classic theme songs that people will always react to. If you let people have them for a long time. You change every fucking week they're changing somebody's theme song for no reason. You know, just because she joined a new faction doesn't mean you have to change her theme song. You know, Shawn Michaels had the same fucking theme song even though he was in DX. He may have had a DX theme also, but he also still has his regular Shawn Michaels theme. You know, we don't need to change people's themes every fucking week. These tweaks are not necessary all the time. So then they wrestled the match, and Rhea Ripley was selling more than usual for Liv Morgan. I'm guessing she was told to because she's working heel. It makes no sense. And then I'm like, holy fucking shit, Liv Morgan has pinned Rhea Ripley with like a backbreaker. You know, it was like a backstabber, a lung blower. And I looked at that shit and I was like, I'm floored by this. I understood it though. I understand why. And then we get the segment where the Bullet Club plus one, because Finn Balor's there this week, so he comes out to make the save as Damian Priest beats up AJ Styles, and so Balor comes out there to beat up Priest. He absolutely waffed completely on the double stomp, and I was thinking to myself, you know, because Damian Priest still sold it, because of course, you know, we're not supposed to know that he missed completely. And maybe that was part of the gag, is that, you know, Finn Balor's part of the squad, and he wasn't really going to double stomp, you know, Damian Priest, but he wanted people to think that he was going to. Because Finn Balor's voice has been absolutely stolen. He has had little to say since, I think he's probably said a sentence since January. You know, since January, you probably can write down what Finn Balor has said on a sheet of paper without using the whole sheet of paper. He just absolutely has no voice. And in WWE, if you have no voice, you have no character. You have no character, you have no personality, which means you're just wallpaper. You're just there. And that's why I say he needs to turn heel. He needs to turn heel immediately. He needs to turn heel 2 months ago. You know, he needs a heel turn very badly. Very badly. Because I don't see how he's still just hanging in here. You know, I just can't see it. It's crazy that he's still hanging in there as the babyface Finn Balor. But they beat up Judgment Day. They beat up Priest and Rhea. Just beat the shit out of them, really. You got Rhea Ripley not only getting pinned, but then she gets drop kicked from the top rope by Liv Morgan. She just got punked out. And then Priest, not only does he catch a phenomenal forearm, he gets pseudo stomped by Finn Balor. And I'm just kind of like, they ain't been around long enough for them to be getting beat up like this. But I get it. When I saw the 6-person tag match announced, I was like, oh boy. Okay. Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor. Okay. Good. I like that match. I think that match fits Hell in a Cell. I think it's a good addition. Problem is 50-50 booking. Why not keep Judgment Day strong? Well, because Judgment Day is going to win. That's why. But I'm okay with this, I guess. Even though I'm not thrilled about Rhea Ripley losing to Liv Morgan. Like, I guess it's a way of ending the feud. The singles feud between the two. As hopefully it's over, you know, because hopefully it's over, because this is like the 5th match that they've had. These matches aren't really getting much better. They're just, Liv Morgan's painfully mediocre, and I don't see it getting much better than this. And we're in a bad spot here, because Liv should not be beating Rhea Ripley. But it might be another test of Rhea Ripley where they want to see if she's going to, fight back on it and argue it or whatever, which she probably should have. Maybe Rhea Ripley needs to go into the office, put her black lipstick on Johnny Lace's table and say, "Johnny Ace, look what you're doing to me. You took my theme song. You took my nickname. Now all I do is stare and look gothic. And now I'm getting pinned by Liv Morgan. I'm out of here." And she storms out too. The parking lot should just be full of people walking the fuck out of Raw. I mean, look, man, I don't see how you can't do that. Like, look at the shit that they've done on this show. I would go in there, I would put whatever I got in my pockets on Johnny Ace's table. Like, look, man, I don't know, a lighter, a Walter E. Williams book, I don't know, what the fuck. Put it on his desk and say, "Look, I'm out of here, man. This show sucks. Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing to me." Maybe Finn Balor needs to go in there, but he seemed to be having fun at Andrade's wedding, so he's probably like, "Hey, I don't care about this." Whatever. So the main event segment, believe it or not, was Lashley, MVP, and Omos. And I'm as surprised and as floored as everybody else that this was what they chose to close the show on. MVP and Lashley had a nice little exchange, but we could have done this at the sort of 8:15 hour. We could have pushed this way back into the show. So if you were keeping count, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, they also had a brawl. So that was brawl number 3 or 4 throughout. No, it was 4, because Nakamura, Riddle, and the Usos also had a post-match brawl. So post-match brawls were at 5 or 6 or something like that. Brawls. So MVP says that he got Lashley everything. Things that Lashley didn't even know he wanted. And that the Almighty is nothing without him. So it's fitting that it ends with him, because he picked a handicap match. No gimmicks, just a handicap match. Not a handicap match where only they can use weapons or, it's always very weird to me that if you got a guy who can pick any stipulation that he wants and he still picks something that is somewhat fair. I would pick, like, you have to be handcuffed and blindfolded. That's completely unfair. But if you give me the choice to make a decision, I'm going there, baby. You handcuffed and blindfolded. I beat your ass in 15 seconds. At that point, I could beat Mike Tyson if he was handcuffed and blindfolded. I could beat anybody handcuffed and blindfolded. So, except maybe Anderson Silva. He'd probably kick me in the chin or some shit. That nigga's a ninja. Anyway, so we got this. So Lashley responds by saying that MVP is a leech, hanging on to him to keep himself relevant. MVP got real mad. So just sign the contract, man. Then he said, "You know what the sad thing about this, MVP? Is I considered you a friend." And MVP said, "I considered you a brother." And I was like, oh man, that was so sad. I hope that match ends like, New Jack City, where, where Lashley is Nino Brown, MVP's like, "Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper?" Somebody, I need to get a job working there. That should be great. I had you niggas crying. I'm sorry. I'm tired and Raw stupid. So, of course, Lashley throws the table out of the ring because MVP doesn't want to wait. So they're going to brawl right now. And Brawl begins with Cedric Alexander, who apparently also doesn't have a voice anymore. And MVP is just okay with him hanging around now. We haven't had any sort of development on that as far as MVP wanting him to hang around or not wanting to hang around. We just don't know. He's just doing his own thing. He's freelancer, independent contractor. He does what he wants. He wants to kick Lashley in the head, so he's kicking Lashley in the head. I mean, it is what it is. And They work together, but Lashley continues to fight all three of them off, and then ends up putting Omos through a table, which of course makes Omos look like a goddamn fool because he had a 3-on-1 advantage, and Lashley still managed to put him through a table. I mean, maybe Omos needs to go into Johnny Ace's office, put his Nigerian giant nickname on a sheet of paper and slide it across the desk. I'm out of here, and walk out, because he obviously ain't been treated like a giant, you know. I don't know what else to do, man. You know, Cedric Alexander probably should go in there too, man, and say, look, lay his Hurt Business t-shirt across the desk and take a walk, you know. But he'd probably have to go home to Big Swole, so maybe he likes hanging around and, you know, just hanging around for the catering, you know, maybe. But like I said, man, nothing happened on Raw. It was nothing special, nothing major. We got a bunch of brawls all night, and they don't understand the classic art of the more people touch, the less you want to see them fight. So the more fighting they do, the less you want to see them fight. You know, like, that's a classic wrestling thing. You do just enough to get the crowd excited, but that's the reason for the invisible wall, or the heel running away or whatever, is to maintain the heat. Because every strike that the babyface lands blows off some heat. You know? I don't know. WWE does things their own way, and they've been doing it their own way for 40 years. It's just not the way I would have done it. Nobody would even write a book that way. You know, nobody, like, you wouldn't write a story with Harry Potter's whooping Voldemort's ass in the first chapter, and then every subsequent chapter he whoops Voldemort's ass, and then he whoops Voldemort's ass at the end. Like, that wouldn't sound like a very intriguing book, now would it? You know, that would be like, oh, he's beating this guy up again? You know, it's like, if you were watching, I don't know, what would be like your favorite movie? You know, some kung fu flick where the bad guy gets beat up in the first scene, and he gets beat up again in the fourth scene, he gets beat up again in the sixth scene. It's like, God damn, how many times gonna beat this nigga's ass? He'll keep whooping his ass. How many times is the Moss going to get beat up by Lashley? Like, it's impressive the first time it happens. It's like, whoa, okay. But at this point, we're a month into this, and it's pretty normal now for Moss to be taking bumps and to just be getting beat up generally by Lashley. It's not impressive anymore. Hopefully this is the end. You know, I don't see why a handicap match would be the end of a feud. You know, considering it's a pretty plain goddamn match. But hopefully it's over. I don't really want to see this shit no more. But after that marathon of a show of Double or Nothing, my interest in watching wrestling in general was very low. And so Raw didn't do much to keep me my interest in wrestling high. It just kind of puttered along and didn't offend me too much. But let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.